Hi, I'm currently working on an Exsanguinate Mines Elementalist leaguestarter build, which I will release a video of later, but I figured I could make this first video about defenses to help people make their own Elementalist builds. So I invite you to subscribe if you're interested in that, and you can also follow my progression on twitch.tv/victor. By the way, if you're playing a caster or core build like I am, be wary there is a note in the patch notes that says there are additional passive skill tree changes related to both casters and core damage that we're still finalizing. Check back soon. I suppose it's not gonna be very meaningful changes, but you never know with GGG. So first of all, are golems dying easily in endgame? So I've tried now before the patch with 0 minion scaling. They do sometimes die while mapping in tier 16 with enough juice. Please ignore the flame golem in the gameplay in the background. I was using a low level gem while filming, and the other golems are level 21 gems. I find they mostly die to delirium clusterfuck, so from on-death effects and the stacked rares. Fortunately, the defensive golems Stone and Chaos have a tankiest of them. Usually it's the over damage-oriented golems that will die first. And of course, they get automatically resummoned every 4 seconds through the Ascendancy. But as long as you have decent clear, they stay alive the vast majority of the time. For very juicy content, it will again mostly depend on clear, but it could be worth investing in some minion tankiness scaling. The Elementalist Ascendancy makes the golems immune to elemental damage, so we only care about physical and chaos damage to make them tankier. The Chaos Golem already has a lot of Chaos resist, so you don't really care for him, but for the other golems, you can allocate 53 Chaos resist here for 3 passive points, and you also get the 20% max life as extra maximum energy shield, and 16% max life for all your minions. For physical damage, you can grab some Primordial Eminence jewels, which give armor. It seems low, but I think armor is calculated differently for minions than for players, so it's kinda hard to tell how much that is really. And for regeneration, you have the Primordial Harmony Jewel for 2% of life per second. So on large minion cluster jewels, you can get Primordial Bond, which is really nice for the damage per summon golem and the golem maximum life. I suggest you also grab one instance of Feasting Fiends for a bit more max life, and the Leech for the minions. And keep in mind, you can also find Primordial Bond on Megalomaniac, so if you want to, you can go ham and stack a lot of them, like that. And if you do that, I suggest you allocate Spiritual Aid, so that the minion damage increases also affect you. That can also allow you to min-max your item, like your wand, where you can look for minion damage. And also keep in mind that the Mercenary will probably help us make the golems and ourselves tankier. And I will talk a bit about this later in the video, you can check that chapter. And also my build uses Herald of Purity, which is often underrated in how these sentinels help tanking, especially against bosses. They take aggro a lot. I don't know if they have some sort of innate bonus to taking aggro, or if it's just that they're in melee range of enemies. Anyway, the golems, in terms of defense, they offer 300-ish life regen per second. I'm counting for the base 200% buff effect from the Ascendancy nodes and from these 3 passive skills here. And it depends also on the level of your gem. Like for me, I have a scepter or one that will give +1 to spell and +1 to physical spell. So my stone golem will have +2, the other golems will have +1 to the level. The Stone Golem also gives us 60% increased defenses, so that's energy shield, evasion, armor, and also ward. And then the Chaos Golem will give us a ton of Chaos resist, so it's going to be very easy to cap Chaos resist. Oh, and I wanted to mention, if your build is starving for sockets, there's a few tricks you can use. First of all, you can use unset rings, which offer an additional socket. But if you run Heralds, you can also go for an Elder or Shaper ring and get the Herald you want from there, so you would save an additional socket. So apart from the golems, the Ascendancy changes are gonna grant us an insane 40% of physical damage taken as fire from ignited enemies, thanks to the new Shaper of Flames. And the enemies will be always ignited basically because of the same node. And I'm using that one for helping mostly with mana reservation efficiency and also very hefty bonus to my damage. but if I find other ways to run all these eras or just not run as much herald, I might go for either Shaper of Storms or Shaper of Winter. The new one sounds interesting in both offensively and defensively, though its effects can exist as a unique ring and as the Bone Chill support gem. So on top of this 40%, you can go for Cloak of Flame for another 40%, which is a very budget-friendly option, unless the item is somehow super popular, but it's a low-tier unique, you probably have dropped this one multiple times yourself. And then you can also use Dawnbreaker for the remaining 20%, as well as converting some of the cold and lightning damage to fire damage. Personally, for the body armor, I prefer using a rare, and I'm using Eater of Words Implicit for 12% of physical damage from hits taken as fire, so that would reach 72%. And I also use the Endurance Charge Generation, similar exact. So I need the Endurance Charges to last 15 seconds at least, and by default it's 10 seconds. So I allocate this Charge Mastery right here for 1 point. There's also a very interesting Watcher's Eyes for Purity of Fire. You can get the same effect as Dawnbreaker for converting some of the cold and lightning to fire. Or you can also get a bit more physical damage taken as fire, but I prefer this one. And I'm planning on to use a Mercenary with Kaom's Binding Belt, which makes nobody's enemy take physical damage taken as fire. So that's also gonna help your golems. And I'm also thinking of Shaper's Seed Amulet for the 4% life regen per second. Oh, and another note about Cloak of Flame, since it's usually cheap, you can fish for corrupts or even double corrupts on it. For instance, for me, I could get +4 to Exsanguinate, which is a massive damage boost. So all these phys to fire conversion mean that Primal Aegis, which is a buff that protects from elemental damage before your life or energy shield, also works for physical damage. It scales with the number of allocated notables you have, but it basically reaches like 2000. And once it's depleted, it takes 5 seconds to replenish. Or if you don't take hits for 5 seconds, it will replenish. And all this conversion means we need to maximize our fire resist. So there's different ways. There is Purity of Fire, which I already mentioned. It gets 4% at level 20. And if you get it to level 23, you can see you get an additional %. You can do that with a Corruption, with like +2 to AoE or to Aura Gems. Or other ways, like if you can socket an Empower gem. You can also get bonuses from Amulet and Shield to spell gems. But I'm thinking of using Doriani's Delusion unique boots on the Mercenary, if they work. We are not sure. We're not sure if Mercenaries can use this. It will have to be tested. It would be really nice because then we don't have to reserve 35% of mana, and we have a free socket. There's also Ruby Flask for 5% max fire res, and if you roll the right prefix, it becomes 6%. And then on the passive tree, depending on your build, you can path here or anoint it. If you do path here, you can grab an extra % here, just below, and then you can anoint this one instead. On my own build, I need to run a lot of auras, so I'm allocating Charisma instead. And also, since my Exsanguinate Mines reserve a bit of life when I use them, I use this Restoration Mastery for +1 all max elemental resist. I have never played a ward-based build before, so I'm not too familiar with the mechanic, but I know the Stone Golem increased defenses work on ward, and that it's quite rare to find sources of increased ward. And the wiki states that Primal Aegis takes precedence over ward, so ward could add as a good layer when Primal Aegis is down while it recovers for this 5 seconds. So it might be a good synergy, and I think I will try that personally. once the league is up, and then if it doesn't work, I will go the way I've planned here with evasion, energy, shield, hybrid armors. And also I wanted to mention that there is an already known template that you can use on your Elementalist, where you go Pain Knight Tunant, Chevron Wrappings, which makes chaos damage not bypass your ES. And this allows you to use, what's it called again? Prism Guardian Shield. This one makes the gems inside the shield reserve life instead of mana, so you basically use all your life to reserve more auras, and your ES is protecting against chaos damage. You get a Pain Attunement for 30% more damage. The only problem is that you will get stunned a lot because it's calculated based on your life and not your ES. So either you go with Presence of Shayula, Amulet, cannot be stunned, and you also get 20% max life as yes, which is very nice, and also a ton of Chaos Res. Or if you want to use a normal Amulet, there is Energy Shield Mastery, this one, 50% of your ES is added to your stun threshold. Alright, that's it for me for today. As I said in the beginning of the video, I will release a full build guide on Exsanguinate Mines. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do that before or after the league has started. It would be really handy if Path of Building got updated with the changes, because right now it's a mess of configuration here. To compare some alternatives, it's a pain. I mean, you can use this PoB if you want to run the same build as a high-end target. I just want to think a bit more about progression and leveling and all that kind of stuff before making a video about it. And in any case, I'll make a few videos during the weekend and upcoming week to show my progression. See ya!